All right, so today we want to look at the average, highest, and lowest. So average, if you type in equal average and you start to type it in, Google is going to try to give you a suggestion of what sells, and you notice that they actually have an orange highlight around the ones that we are looking at. I select those and hit enter, and it's going to do that for me. Now, initially, it's going to have a bunch of decimals. I took it down to 1, and then I used my fill handle and pulled it across, and it's there what it needs to be. On highest, we're going to type in equal max. And again, it's going to give us a suggestion. It says B4 to B9. That is our 6 numbers. So we're going to hit enter. And again, I grabbed it and I fill handled all the way across so that it automatically updates. Lowest is minimum. So enter equal sign first to tell the computer I want you to do a function for me. Type in min, M-I-N for minimum. Again, the suggestion is there. Click on it, hit enter, and then using your fill handle, I pulled it across. Okay. I do want to explain one thing that I have come to find out. If you do the the bar graph versus the column graph, the bar graphs tend to run left to right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I use my control, click control and click all the way down and select, say, all of the drink names, and then selecting all of my calories, and let's say carbs, and let's say caffeine. Those are our big comparisons here. And I hit insert chart and I tell it I want it to be a bar graph. You notice that they run left to right. Okay. It does not exactly look like we want it to. So we would have to do a lot of work here. So I'm going to drag this down. Let's see what we can do here. On our data, let's start there. We don't want any stacking. We've picked what we want it to have there. It does not look like it put everything there that we want it. So A3 to F3. That's not what I selected. So obviously it changed my data range different from what I actually put in, which is kind of aggravating. So what I actually want is A3 to A9. Let's see if we can get this to work. A9. We're going to do a semicolon. We want C3 colon to C9 semicolon. D3 to D9 semicolon. And F3 to F9. Enter. All right. Still did not do what we want. And this has been one of my aggravating things with this new editor. It is very, very different from what it had been previously. And again, that's a recent update with this editor. You notice down here at the bottom it says to use the old chart editor. If you click on that, you get a very different looking interface. And it actually gives you a lot of visuals, which is kind of nice. On how you can select things. Okay. So this is the old chart editor. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in column format because I like that better than what they're calling the bar format. And if I hit update, it will change it. So you notice right now, all it did was it pulled the caffeine, which is our F quantities. And it did not give me my labels for my names. And so one of the things that's happening with this newest update is the charts themselves are not populating or creating as self directed as easily. Like you still have to go in and do a lot of changing and editing to this that makes it a little more difficult than what had been in the past. If you close out of the editor and then you go back in and you click on the three dots and hit edit, it's going to open up the new editor again. If you want the old editor back, you have to go down to the bottom and click use the old chart editor. I'm going to warn you guys, Google is really bad about this. They'll leave that use old chart editor link there for a little while, but eventually they will phase it out. So you might as well get used to using the actual new editor because they are going to change it on us no matter what we do. Okay, what we do know is on the y-axis, there are different things that we want here. So what we want to compare are calories, carbs, and caffeine. So there's 3 different sets of ranges that we want. So we want C3 to C9 for 1. Okay, and then we want to actually have more than one y-axis, and that's where I'm having some issues with this editor not giving me the same functionality as it used to. Okay, so C3 to C9, and you see they put a comma and then they put F3 to F9. I'm going to put a comma and I want D3 to D9. I'm going to put a comma and I'm going to put A3 to A9. Let's see if that helps any. Yes, it did a little bit. So I now have my names. There's my A. I have caffeine and carbs, so that's C and D, but it's not reading the F's for whatever reason. So I'm going to come back over here where it says F3 to F9. I'm going to take those out. Let's try putting it in again. Still not getting all 3. And it does make me wonder if this is a size of a chart issue, like the chart has to be bigger to show them. No, it's just not pulling them up. So obviously there are issues. There are, different things here that cause some issues. So we have series being carbs and caffeine. Down here where it says add series, we want to add our F3 to F9. Okay, now we've got all 3 of our major quantities that we want to compare. Okay. Again, it is very, very frustrating that we're going to remove drink name here. We don't want the drink names there. We want the drink names on the y-axis. It does not just automatically turn out the way we want it. And the graph creator was better prior to this update. They've done a few things that have made it not as user-friendly, which is not typical. But that is what we're working with. Again, we'd have to go in. We need a title other than caffeine. We'll need to put in an X and a Y axis titling, or horizontal and vertical axis titling. This is where you can actually go in and change the colors. So like carbs, maybe I don't want carbs blue. Maybe I want them to be like more like brown. Maybe I want caffeine to be green. And I want, oh, it got caffeine twice. Why did it get caffeine twice? So carbs and caffeine, now we don't have calories. So as you can see, this gets really frustrating because the calories should be our C3 to C9. That may have been my bad. And now that dropped off. So obviously this gets really frustrating because it doesn't always work the way you expect it to. And it sometimes just decides what it wants to do. So even though I have all this data range in here, it's not actually doing what I want it to do. Understand, I know that it's frustrating. I know these graphs don't always work perfectly. So I want you to put together a bar graph. If you want to just do caffeine and carbs like this is right now, I'm good with that. But I do want you to show the correct titling on the y-axis, the x-axis, or the vertical, horizontal, and a title for your actual charts. Once you have that done, you are good to go for today. Thanks.